Pennsylvania, we are hurting, and I think it is obvious on why we're hurting. Like, there's no hiding it. There's not little issues. 2022, you're talking about setting up maybe the next decade for Pennsylvania to have to try to crawl out of it, out of a hole.
No doubt.
And that's kind of what's on the line.
So first question for you, because this is the one that's moved the needle the most for me. Barnette, where are you with her?
I think in the last 24 hours, the polls are showing that she's pulling ahead. I would say that right now, between her and one other candidate, it'll probably come down to Tuesday. They first tried to attack her and said, you're just a Trump MAGA.
Yeah,
that's all you are.
Yeah, it's been the Trump trope or whatever.
Yeah, and she fired right back and said,
MAGA does not belong to President Trump. MAGA, although he coined the word, MAGA is actually, it belongs to the people. Our values never shifted to President Trump's values. It was President Trump who shifted and aligned with our values.
Thank you very much.
Something that I love because it was independent thought. MAGA is us. MAGA is the populace.
That was a very good answer. Candace Owens, she's real quick from the holster. I think you need to be. What I like about her is several times she was having just normal interview kind of things, and the ridiculous interviewer will phrase some question, and she'll be like, I reject the premise of this ridiculousness. Literally talk about her faith, or she'll frame out the question in a completely different way, but her instincts for what the audience, the average roll up your sleeves, mom with 4 kids screaming in the background, the way that she frames it is like that thinking. And that's a very skillful way to communicate politically.
The moderators, I feel like they were ignoring her.
We should get a minute because you've asked them 2 questions and you're just now getting to me.
Ignoring her because she was a powder keg of information and influence to voters because she had so much to bring to the table that I almost want to say that out of concern of we don't know where she's going to go with this.
Right.
And not a radical way, but we don't know what kind of things she's just going to blow up here on stage with.
Right.
And if I had to be critical of her, my assumption is that on the Democratic primary side, and I could be wrong, that Fetterman is going to go ahead and take the primary for the Senate, motivate her more to just stay on topic of the 2020 election. Which she is definitely passionate about, but can she get off of those ropes and kind of meet Fetterman on an array of things?
The only thing I would say, even if she does get bear trapped, that's just the way it goes when you have her politics. I think the voter is going to have so much margin, more margin for that kind of thing this time around than they used to. In other words, I think the Democrats normally really can exploit that, but this time the average American is just hemorrhaging in such real ways that I really think it's an exception year in that way, where normal political paradigms aren't as watertight as they used to be. I could be wrong about that.
If it were to go Barnette and Fetterman, or really Barnette and anyone, specifically Barnette, let's just stick with Barnette and Fetterman. If it were to go toe to toe, I think the Democratic Party is very wrong on the way that they think that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia are going to go.
I agree. She's quicker and she's brighter. She just is.
Hands down.
When you're a candidate like this, because you don't have to marry so tightly to the GOP narrative, you just have so much more room to speak and so much more room. The DNC, they gotta walk that line, man. The DNC voter is so brutal if you do not walk that line. The conservative party, whatever that means, that has become such a big tent. I am as libertarian as you really get, with the exception of some things. And then I got so many friends to the left of me that are also sort of now under this whatever the right is offering tent. So she's got all that latitude to run. And the DNC, if they call the wrong person by the wrong pronoun, that will gobble up the news junket for that candidate for a week. Among the Democrat voters, she can be Muhammad Ali this situation the whole time.
In the Democratic primary, at least for the Senate, because Shapiro's running unopposed, primary for the Democratic side, there's so many talking points and phrases that we have to say and put themselves in a box to
they
where
really have. It sounds so rote and it sounds so insincere.
You could watch these debates and it's almost like Tony Romo like commentating an NFL game. You're calling the play before they even say it. Like, oh, they're gonna say,
right,
we can't.
That's right.
We can't frack because it's racist. Like, and that sounds silly, and I don't believe anyone said it in that nature. But that's where it's at. Like, we can call these plays before they even say it because you know which direction you're going.
I don't know that maybe a more left-leaning voter minds this, but that's not the point I'm making. Whether you mind that or not, what I'm saying is to the non-decided voter.
Yeah.
You just have less tools in your toolbox. You have less things to relate to them with. This row leak hits, and it didn't have the sting in that tail. Didn't have nearly as much power.
Oh, and they're trying.
But you know what? I mean, you know what gobbled up the news junket today? Baby formula. I saw a meme like that. It was like, you can't afford gas to get to work, but abortion. There's no sense of the hierarchy of needs in the human being.
Yeah.
I just want
Mr. McCormick approached President Trump with these types of information, was unable to pull the wool over his eyes. President Trump saw right through him. He therefore did not endorse Mr. McCormick. He endorsed me.
I don't think that did for him what he thought it was going to do.
No.
The pounding. Even for just like dyed-in-the-wool Trump supporters, they want to be taken intellectually seriously.
He tries so hard to keep himself connected or plugged into the Trump movement that I really didn't get a sense of his own beliefs. All the candidates that were on the stage for the Republican Senate and also governorship, all of them agreed for fracking.
Right.
But also in the Democratic Senate primary, they all said no except for Lamb. And Lamb was like, look, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be checks and balances, but he was at least honest. I think Fetterman was a no. Kenyatta, I believe he also alluded to being against fracking, but Lamb came right out. He was honest.
Yeah.
He was honest and professional. And he even called out the other candidates on that. He's like, part of being in this position is being able to professionally have a conversation without attacking each other.
You know what he is? Lamb reminds me of like an old Casey in just his like, in his demeanor, I would say, and his like level-headedness and stuff. But I could be getting hoodwinked just because he knows what kind of tide he's swimming in. Now, I know Jeff is your boy. I want you to make a case for him because that's harder for me to make. But I do like him, though. He has an everyday man kind of Jimmy Stewart thing going on that I dig.
I believe he's true to that. I think it's not. I don't think it's a character. I don't think it's a facade. I think he really is. He truly meant that for the last 5 to 7 years, he has traveled
I agree.
Pennsylvania, going door to door when COVID hit and everyone had to be shut down. I didn't shut down. I was going to figure out how to get money for small businesses to make them run because that is what Pennsylvania needs, not a stimulus check. And I thought that was powerful.
I do too.
I think he is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I think he was quiet in the debate. He was very calm and collective, but I think it came off of, like you said, like Kathy, she was a firecracker.
Yeah, and like a celebrity, cultish kind of appetite. I think he suffers there. I mean, we're so like trivial, and the average voter just doesn't care about substance. I want them to, but I'm not stupid enough to think that they do.
I have more confidence in him that he means what he says.
Do you think he's electable?
No. I mean, so I think he can be elected. I think he will struggle. He will struggle against Fetterman. He'll definitely struggle against Lamb. He's coming from a position of, guys, I was on your streets. I know what you need.
Yeah.
But you need to vocalize that a little bit more.
It's interesting. David?
I didn't get a warm feel. I wanted to like him. I probably gave him more slack in a rope.
I mean, I don't dislike him. Of all the ads, and the ads are such garbage, by the way. Listen, guys, do not vote on that. Do a little bit of work. It's the one about his like vest, about how he like puts on a vest instead of a Wall Street. It was kind of devastating. Okay, this is what it did. Whatever Jeff is genuinely selling you about like Main Street, David isn't.
No.
And that was what the ad was devastating in that way.
But I would also, to your point about ads, and a very good point, do not vote on the ads.
So there's so much trauma in the water.
They want you confused.
They want you confused. Yeah. Sands.
Carla Sands.
Yeah, she was very, she couldn't get past talking about herself. I mean, we're talking about like it's a football game right now. But I think when you talk about who is who can run against the opposing side and win.
Okay, that would be the last question with all of them. Who could win?
Yeah. Who do you think would win Sands against Fetterman?
Sands Fetterman? I think Fetterman wins.
Okay, I agree. Oz
has a lot of money, and he's famous.
I don't think Oz knows enough about Pennsylvania to be able to talk Pennsylvania against Fetterman.
So, it's going to be a rough year for Democrats. And, you just need a guy with some work gloves. And if I was going to be his PR agent, I would have ran that same ad.
Look at some of the track history of Fetterman. If they talk about the shotgun incident, I'm not even talking about that.
No,
I'm talking as lieutenant governor.
Totally agree with you. I'm just saying that was the right ad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was basically like putting on Republican clothing. It says something to you.
It does.
McCormick has got like this. I think the establishment wants him. That's what I think.
I think and we can.
Does that make any sense?
It does, and we can get the governorship quickly to connect it. But I think McCormick is running on the same playbook as Mastriano, and I think they both want each other to win.
Oh, that's really an interesting take.
And when you look at both of how they talked, you could see that there is a playbook trend analysis. I'm not suggesting that they are behind the scenes working together, but
I think they're in the same lane of the horse race in that way. Do you think Jeff beats the Democrat?
I think Jeff could win the primary. I think if Jeff went against Lamb, I think so. I don't think he can go toe-to-toe with Fetterman.
I think Jeff could actually policy go toe-to-toe with him, though. I think he could talk.
Yeah.
Probably going to vote for Kathleen. But the interesting thing about her is I think she puts every single one of these DNC candidates on their heels. And in other words, whatever they've been preparing for like the last year, they got to go back to the drawing boards and write new stuff, new attack ads and everything. I love that.
I know I'm going to get disappointed, but if the media does not come out when Fetterman and Barnette go out in the debate,
they won't,
and they don't come out and say that he was being a toxic, pushed over male figure on her, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
Of course you're going to be disappointed.
So the only thing I would say about Barnette, stay off those ropes and stay in the politics of Pennsylvania, abortion, fracking, inflation, jobs.
And you know who did that well, in my opinion, is what we're about to get into. Doug did that really well in his debate. He did a nice job with that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start at the top.
And just so you guys don't think we're dodging it here, when you post the links, there was no Democratic primary for the governorship because Shapiro's running unopposed.
Right.
Some highlights that probably you want to look into is where his campaign funding is coming from and some of his past principles for the last, let's just say 24 months.
Past a Google search. But you have to go to that third page for anything true.
Yeah.
All right, Lou.
I liked him.
Yeah, I did too. I mean, he's a real likable guy.
I liked Lou in 2012.
Yeah.
I liked Lou in 2016. Like you said, he's a likable guy. I mean, a lot of people are criticizing him for what he did to the police force in his hometown when he was mayor. So
that's Hazleton, right?
Yep. Lou being the most professional on the stage.
His executive experience, and for a lot of voters, it will matter. But I'm a contrarian, and I don't like it, actually. I don't like that he's used to being a politician. PA stays the way it is now. He might be able to lubricate things better than any other person on the stage.
Yeah. If you guys go to Ballotopia and some of these links I think do take you to Ballotopia, take a minute to appreciate the photos that you get of the candidates from the Democrat and Republican side, and then the photos that you get for the Libertarian and Green Party candidates. It looks like they took them right from their Facebook page.
I mean, it's unbelievable. This is, as somebody who's very libertarian in my politics, the libertarians don't even take these things seriously. It's so frustrating. Not even trying.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you think of Joe?
Like I said, most of these candidates running, they talk the same lines. So you're really gonna have to drill down in your distinction of who you like. And it really comes down to, and not to make it into just a game, but who can take on Shapiro.
Who can win.
And to actually challenge Shapiro where he needs to be challenged. And there's a lot of ammunition that you can use. And this is where I get concerned with Barletta because I don't think he will do it.
I don't think he'll do it either.
I think he'll stick to the talking points that he goes over in his debate.
Agree. Charlie.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing.
same kind of thing. Empty suit. What about Hart?
I did like her. I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be upset if she came out number one. I think she's well-rounded. I think it would be the best way to put it. I don't disagree with most of the positions that you come at. I think there's a little bit.
Well, there's not a single person on this list that I agree with everybody on.
Yeah.
That's just me.
She did stay toe-to-toe with the others on stage.
Elephant in the room for you and me is Doug.
Doug Mastriano.
Tip my hand of poker here. I like him a lot. He's the one I most believe. And I was sharing with you a little bit. I actually have family members, like real close family members that work for him. So even the people that listen to this, I just always want to be intellectually honest about everything. That's not a non-factor for me. I think we've all become purists in a way like none of these people are going to thread the needle for me.
And I think that's a good Reaganism thing to say. And Reagan kind of said that, like, we're not always going to agree on both sides of the aisle.
He warned blithely and rolling our eyes, and
but can we find the exact moment where we all can shake hands? That's where we're going to get things done.
He has, like, he's got an alpha male situation going on in a similar way to Trump. Trump just looked like a man among boys on the stage.
Yeah.
And I really think Doug came off like that.
Do recognize that he's a veteran. I think he comes to the table with that. And
he's also an Army veteran.
Right, an Army veteran. And just to let him know, I did recognize what he did with his suit on stage. And many people don't know unless you're in the service. But we're changing over our uniforms, our Class A's, and it's going back to the old pinks and greens. So it's the light tan, dark tan. So I appreciate what you did, Doug, on stage. You kind of made it look like you were in that military uniform. A great play. And you could let us show the kind of military affiliation, but I like it.
It was very smart. I didn't put it together till right now.
I liked his stance on COVID, and I think he did a very good job of criticizing the others on stage about that. My concern, and kind of how we talked about, and it could have just been a slip up, and maybe I just misunderstood who they were.
Is that he seems to be flirting with, like, state power and a lack of respect for the individual, which those two things are strange in a way, because I also agree. I think that's where he showed his sort of white belly. I would love to ask him this personally. I might get the chance, but he came so hard on, like, individual liberty through the pandemic, and yet, ironically enough, that's what some voters are wondering about, is, like, how much power does this guy feel comfortable with the state having? And does that make any sense? Isn't that an irony?
It is an irony. With Doug is the most electable. But I wish...
You do think he's the most electable? That's interesting.
I think what I would have liked to see is to draw back on the aggressiveness and more on the content.
I think perception is reality to the average American voter. I think Trump completely changed the political paradigm by way of what the average person responds to in a politician. And I think in that regard, Doug is running away with the field if that's true. Yeah. So if it's true that Trump set a new gold standard by way of what the American voter looks to for a leader, then Doug is a runaway.
I think he's probably potentially what Pennsylvania needs right now.
I think it is. I think I agree with that.
Because I think we're off the tracks and we need to get back on it.
David White is probably the most just all around, like, likable person in the field, in my opinion. Best I got, like, a buddy or a friend or is he the pipe fitter guy? Yeah. You know, I know he's driving that into the ground, but I'm such a sucker. I really respect labor, and I really respect guys like that. So even though I think the average fitter was like, enough with the pipe fitter, for me, I like that he keeps going, I'm a pipe fitter. Tactic that worked on me as a voter, because I just like it.
He was trying to correlate is his connection from the blue-collar worker, from the kitchen table. And he said that. He's like, I came from kitchen table,
which is like, cool
kitchen
line.
Table.
I respect that.
To what I am now. Like, I understand what it's like to wonder if you're going to have gas in your car, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, I've been there.
I actually see a lot of correlation between David White and Ben Carson.
Yeah.
In that Ben Carson was the guy, that's who I supported in that election. But ultimately what I realized was Ben Carson was just too good of a person.
That's terrible.
Isn't that terrible? Yeah. Ben Carson's got too much Jimmy Stewart in him for 2022. Yeah. Now, that could just be Brock the cynic, and maybe what I should advise people, more politically hopeful and less cynical raisins that are dried up in the political soul.
But I feel...
Let's do the Democratic Senate primary. I get the impression you think Fetterman's going to run away with it.
I think so. The only thing... I think Fetterman's going to run away with it, and the only person that would actually challenge him would be Lamb.
Politician-y as it gets.
Yeah.
Lamb, I don't want to see a Democrat win this election, but Lamb is the biggest threat, in my opinion. And Alexandria is just a not factor for you.
Yeah, and I'm surprised they didn't
Flamethrower?
Yeah. I was interested on why they didn't give her more of a platform.
Yeah.
There's a great softball that the Democratic Party just threw me, but I'm not going to...
Yeah, I mean, it's so true, man. All right, guys, here are the key factors. COVID-19, Roe versus Wade, fracking, gas, Trump, taxation, inflation, Title 42. And I would say kitchen table finances actually are going to really become... This all might whitewash, and it might all just come down to that.
I think
that whole election might.
I think when you have restaurants for the summer start talking about how they're going to make plates look more colorful.
When you have the zeitgeist, when you have the hoi polloi really talking about food, like sustainable food, we're leaving your standard banquet, if you will, of political topics, and we're going right to the marrow of the bones of what people care about. And to be honest with you, elections aside, that's actually scary for a civilization. It's not good. We're in bad times.
Even though some of these topics that we talked about tonight seem they're on a federal level and it's kind of more national, Pennsylvania isn't going to be absent the consequences of some of these things. Title 42, it may be an immigration bill off of COVID at the border. Who's going to say yay and nay to certain things?
Yeah.
And that's what it really comes down to, like, what results are you looking for?
Did the American people ever realize, like the last 2 years, how much a governor matters? The clarity of how important it is that you have a decent person or not a totalitarian thug. Like, that has just become so clear. Really important election, guys. Take it seriously. Yeah. Share this video with your friends. Seth, I appreciate all this work. Seth, this is work. All the work he's done, I'm going to link. Make sure you vote. Make sure you tell your friends to vote.
Yes.
Take it easy, guys.